just received a message on our Facebook fan page where Sophia is saying, "Hey Poppy, I watch your show religiously. I remember a dish from one of your earlier episodes where you used chili in a chocolate pie. How else can you use chili with chocolate?" Well, I think Sophia is referring to an episode I did with Uncle Imran where I made a chocolate chili ganache pie where I used chili to bring out the sweetness in the chocolate. But today I'm not going to make a dessert based on chili and chocolate. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate chicken with the chilies and the chocolate, therefore making a mole poblano sauce. Mole poblano sauce is, essentially Mexican and South American, but I'm not going to tell you what goes in because I'm going to go off, pick up my ingredients and tell you along the way. Okay, so I'm about to pick up the chocolate, and what I'm picking up is this fantastic cooking chocolate over here. In an original mole, there are about 7 different types of chilies. We don't get all those chilies over here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix and match. I'm going to use different chilies which are indigenous to our region, and of course which will make our mole very traditionally ours, so a version of our mole poblano. So I'm going to start off with some dried chilies. And now to the vegetable stand to pick up our fresh chilies to go into the mole. Last but not least, I've got to pick up some avocado. Why? Because in mole traditionally, avocado leaves are dried and their powder is used. Now, since we don't get avocado leaves, I'm going to use fresh avocado that is available, dry it out and mix it into my sauce in the end. So, 2 fantastic avocados, thank you. I'm done picking up the key elements for my mole and now to pick up the rest of the ingredients that will make my dish. Assalamu alaikum. आपके पास drumsticks या whole chicken है? Technically, I think drumsticks are great because they're fun to eat. And what I'm going to do is pick up this 1 kg packet because it's really safe and healthy, get back to the kitchen and get cooking. Okay, we are ready to get started on our chicken mole poblano. But before I do anything, I've got to thaw the chicken. And for that, I have a bowl of cold water. It's best to immerse the chicken in a bowl of cold water to get the best thawing results. But what I don't like doing is taking the chicken out of its packaging because I think the meat soaks in all the water and loses its flavor. But what I do is make a couple of incisions to allow a little bit of transference of technology, so to speak. So in that goes, right? And now, whilst our chicken is thawing, we're going to get started on the mole poblano. I'm going to grab some onions and some garlic, halve them, and I've got 2 onions over here. Make fine incisions through the onion like so. Cut halfway through, you slice and chop. And there you get a fine dice. It's like the omelette onion. So 1 onion I've diced up, and now for a slight difference of flavor, I'm going to slice the other one without chopping it. Why? Because I think the onions will release their sugars differently in the mole. So here we go. Next, for the garlic, very simply, grab 3 pods of garlic and just slice them up finely. Okay, so now get my pan onto a high flame. There we go. Straight into my pan, I'm going to pour in about 4 tablespoons of olive oil. While my oil is heating up, let me tell you what else is going in our mole. I've got some diced tomatoes over here. First go in our tomatoes, and we have to sort of get them searing. So my tomatoes have almost broken down. I'm going to shift this here. Just give them a couple more stirs. They've released their water, so now it's, well, almost like a minestrone soupy soup in there. Soupy soup. Okay, now, as you can see, my tomatoes are frying away in there. I'm just going to grab all the onion and drop it straight in. Once the onions are in, mix them in well. Once the onions soften, we will just pick up the garlic and drop it straight in the pan. Once the garlic goes in, keep stirring quite vigorously to make sure that it's blended properly, because you're almost blanching the garlic with the tomato and onion juice rather than frying it, which is quite unique. And what this will also do is aid to the sweetness of the sauce. Now, first things first, my dried chilies. So the fabulous chipotle, or my version of the chipotle chili, I'm just going to take this, break it with my hand like so. 3 of these, drop them in. Next, 4 of the different types of chilies. Just going to make sure this is not sticking. I'm just going to move it off the heat. Whilst that's cooling down slightly, I'm going to put in 4 of my other fresh chili varieties. So my super hot green chilies, the Thai red chili, or the version of bird's eye chili that you would get in South America, that's just going to be kept whole. The large capsicum-esque sweet piquant chili, I'm just going to slice that up in rather large slices. This is more as a sort of garnish, and the larger the chunk, the more sugar it will release, more surface area. And then finally, the little jalapeno Mexican chilies, again, just sliced up. Now, as soon as the chilies are sliced up, get your pan back on the heat, let it start steaming, and then slowly add in about 300 ml of water. Okay. Now, once this comes back to a boil, we're just going to add in all these chilies. Well, chili basically makes the sauce hot, but in this case, we're using this more as a vegetable. The trick of this sauce is that in 4 tomatoes, you put in 2 onions, 2.5 pods of garlic almost, and 2 chilies of each variety. And that should be your basis. So, finally, the little red chilies. But I'm not going to put them in whole like so. I'm just going to make a tiny slit in each, because they're super hot and they have a very tangy flavor, which is not synonymous to Mexican chili. So you've got to be careful when you're using an alternative. In they go. And then some cool spices. First of all, our 6th chili, crushed red chili flakes. 2 teaspoons of those, and about 4 whole dried red chilies. Of course, completely different and indigenous to us. Then mix all of these in. Now, of course, if your water is drying up, immediately add in another 200 ml of water. And there it goes. And then for the other spices. Now, rosemary and thyme, because they go into the traditional mole poblano. So 1 teaspoon of those, but not too much, because they're very overpowering herbs. They can sort of take away from the flavor of the chocolate especially, so be careful. And 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to mix all this in, and of course I can smell the amazing mixture of all these chilies coming through, and it's quite phenomenal. Right, so now I've mixed all of this up. I'm just going to turn the heat down to about a medium heat. Cover my pan with a lid so all of this steams and all the chilies release their flavors, and the tomatoes, their water and all. Okay, welcome back from the break. It's been about 10 minutes and our mole sauce has been bubbling away. So I've got to sieve my sauce. Got a nice little sieve here, and a small pan. Now the sauce has to be transferred before the chocolate can be sort of incorporated in it. So I'm just going to pop my sieve here. Now let's take a look at this sauce. Okay, so the sauce has come together beautifully. The large chilies have softened. The red chilies are still intact. And the dried red chilies have puffed up, like they've taken in all the sauces and sent out their own little flavors into this sauce. Now, let's sieve it out. So, for the next step, you get this little pan on a flame. I want it to come to a very quick boil so I can reduce it down. Whilst that's happening, I've got all my other ingredients, which I'm just going to bring here so I can use a little bit more easily. Now, as it's bubbling away ferociously, I'm just going to give it a little stir. Look at the color of that. It's all the different colors of chili. And it literally looks like burnt earth or a sunburnt orange. And okay, now enough of the poetry. In go the juice of 1.5 lemons. The next step, pour in about 3 tablespoons of vinegar. Then I'm just going to let this bubble away ferociously and reduce because I want it to become slightly thicker before I introduce chocolate. Now my sauce is almost done. I'm just going to add in 1 teaspoon of salt. Reduce the heat. It's thick, but not too thick. And now I'm going to add in about 300 grams of chocolate. Keep stirring till all your chocolate has dissolved. Turn the heat up so my sauce starts reducing down a little bit faster. Let it come to a boil, take it off the boil. And you've got to keep doing this till you find that break in the aroma that you're getting where you can smell the chili again. And we are done with our sauce for the time being. Take the heat down, let it come down to a gentle simmer. Next, our avocados. Slice it up really finely. Half an avocado at first. Just mix it into the sauce. The final touch to the mole poblano sauce is the oh so gracious tortilla chip. 5 handfuls of these. So that's it. Our sauce is done. I'm just going to mix in the tortillas, but not too much. Right, so now the sauce has to cool and the tortillas soak in all the chocolate and lend their flavor to the sauce. I'm going to get started on my chicken. Okay, so I'm just going to get the chicken out of the packet. There we go. And then it's time to start roasting it. Okay, so my drumsticks are ready. All I have to do now is make little incisions in them. Just put your drumstick on your board and diagonally slice through right to the bone. There we go. Again, just 2 slices per drumstick. There we go. Right. Back into the bowl they go. To spice them up. Got a little turmeric here. Half a teaspoon of turmeric. 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Because I want the chicken to be quite salty and spicy to counter the sauce. Some dried chili flakes. 1 teaspoon of those. Finally, some rosemary. Half a teaspoon. Not too much because it's very strong. I'm going to grab some olive oil and pour in about, I would say about 3 tablespoons, enough to coat the chicken well and hold or bind the spices onto the skin. Mix it all up. Make sure you rub each little leg so it gets all the spices evenly. That looks quite attractive already, although it's just raw, but hey. Okay, I prepared my little oven dish. Just put some foil in it so the chicken doesn't stick. Just going to layer the drumsticks out. Right, that's it. My drumsticks are ready for the oven and they're going in there for about 20 minutes. Right, so I'm going to get started with my side dishes. And I thought a little greenery on the plate is always really nice, especially if you have all these colors going. So I thought, what do I use today? And I have picked up some young asparagus. Best way to serve it is literally on its own. How do we do that? Well, we grab a small pan, we grab some water, get our pan on a high flame and pour some water in. Get that water to boil super fast. I'm going to take the ends off the asparagus. You could shave them, but I just think it's super easy to just take the ends off, keep the tips intact. In they go. And they're going to boil for about 3 minutes max. Now, next step, the other side dish. Potatoes that I've already boiled, and just sort of make them smaller. Super hot green chili, because everything should have, a continuity of flavor. Just going to slice the green chili up quite finely. And that goes. Slice up to, one large spring onion, quite fine. Very rustic. And that's it. My asparagus is done. I'm just going to pop them there to the side and let them stay warm. Okay, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Also, potatoes take in salt, so you've got to add a little bit more. 1/2 teaspoon of red chili flakes. And then take the lid off the olive oil, because you're going to need loads, and pour in about 1/2 cup. Okay, then grab your fork and just get mashing. Right, so you've mashed it till all the potato is well blended. Keep it slightly bitty, because it's, it's a very rustic or easy potato to have. So that's it. Potatoes are done, the asparagus is done, and our sauce is ready. All we're doing is waiting for the chicken to come out of the oven so we can plate up and, well, hopefully try the fantastic chicken mole poblano.